Good evening. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Toya Singh. On this show, we aim to break down the day's top stories by trying to keep an eye on the facts and the facts alone. Our first focus today was the third day of the monsoon parliament session, and a logjam between the opposition and the centre around the ethnic violence in Manipur very much continues. Now, on one side, you have the opposition that's demanding that the gravity of the Manipur situation deserves a statement from the Prime Minister first and then a discussion. On the other side, you have the centre that argues that they are ready for a discussion, but one that's helmed by the Home Minister, under whose charge they say that this entire issue falls. Today's session saw more ruckus, more sloganeering, and the suspension of a Rajya Sabha MP. But what about the issues that matter? What we're looking at today on Place Speak. How can a path that allows for the state of Manipur's turmoil to be addressed, a path that allows for legislative business in the parliament to continue, how can that path be charted out? We take those questions to our guests in just a second. First, let's take a very quick look at the issues between the centre and the opposition on the screen behind me. On one side, you have the opposition that says that the Prime Minister should brief the Parliament on the Manipur issue. They say it's an important issue that's been going on for almost 3 months now. As you know, more than 100 people have lost their lives. Thousands of people have been displaced. They believe the Prime Minister should address this. On the other side, the centre. The centre counters by saying the Prime Minister has already put out a statement on this. That's enough. The Home Minister, who has already visited Manipur, remember, and again plans to visit it next month too, they say he should now brief the Parliament. Now, what's the second sticky point? On one side, you have the opposition that is saying suspend all business and discuss Manipur. On the other side, the centre saying that the opposition is trying to derail the Parliament proceedings. They're saying, look, there are 31 bills that need to be passed, that need to be discussed. None of that will take place if the Parliament continues the way it's continued for the last 3 days. And lastly, the opposition, and you might already remember this, continues to demand the removal of the Manipur Chief Minister N. Biren Singh. They're saying the centre needs to impose president's rule in the state. On the other side, the centre is saying this is a sensitive issue and the opposition shouldn't, according to them, in their words, politicize the matter. Now, the opposition wants to discuss Manipur under Rule 176, which will mean that the House discusses the issue without any time limit. They're saying this is a truly important issue that deserves all the time. The centre, on the other hand, is saying that we will discuss Manipur and we're ready to discuss it immediately, but under Rule 267, which will put a cap of 2.5 hours to this entire discussion. Let's take a deeper dive into this entire story in just a second. First, I want to show you what Union Minister, Home Minister Amit Shah, who's already visited the state for a period of 3 days, what he had to say in the Lok Sabha today. Take a look.
मेरा विपक्ष के सभी सम्मानीय सदस्यों से मेरा आग्रह है कि एक बहुत संवेदनशील मुद्दे पर काफी सदस्यों ने सत्ताधारी दल के और विपक्ष के दोनों ओर के सदस्य ने चर्चा की मांग की है। मैं सदन में चर्चा के लिए तैयार हूं। मुझे मालूम नहीं है कि विपक्ष क्यों चर्चा करने देना नहीं चाहता। मेरा विपक्ष के नेता को आग्रह है कि चर्चा होने दे और इस महत्वपूर्ण मसले पर पूरे देश के सामने सच्चाई जाए, बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है।
All right, one of the aspects we're taking a closer look at today is the issue of the continuing lack of productivity, as some experts call it, in both houses of the parliament. We have some data to follow this up. Let's take a quick look at these numbers, then we'll go over to our guests. Number one, monsoon session 2021. The parliament worked for 34 days, but the productivity in the Lok Sabha was only 21%. The Rajya Sabha was 29%. These are some very low numbers. Now, during this session, the opposition was demanding a discussion on Pegasus spyware. Cut to the winter session of 2021. The parliament worked for 38 days. The productivity in Lok Sabha was 47%, Rajya Sabha 43%. At this point, you might remember the entire country was grappling with an uproar over the Lakhimpur Khedi incident. Now let's take a very quick look. Let's take you into the monsoon session of 2022 last year. Remember, monsoon sessions are particularly short, which is why time is of the essence. Here, last year, Parliament worked for 22 days. The productivity of the Lok Sabha was 47%, the Rajya Sabha 42%. During this session, the opposition wanted a debate on important issues, inflation and GST. Now, cut to the budget session of 2023, which some research founders have deemed the least productive in the last 5 years. Parliament worked for a total of 49 days. The productivity of Lok Sabha was 33%. The productivity of Rajya Sabha was 24%. Here, the opposition at this time was demanding a joint parliamentary committee investigation, probe into the Adani Hindenburg issue. Now, we're going to take a deeper look at this entire story. But our question for tonight, as the Manipur incident continues, as the state continues to go through turmoil, what's the way out of the deadlock we're seeing right now in Parliament?
सरकार मणिपुर के ऊपर बात करने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, मोदी जी सदन में आने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, हमारा विरोध जारी रहेगा।
We are united. Our only demand is that Prime Minister should come to Parliament, and we are ready for a discussion on Manipur.
विपक्ष के नेता को आग्रह है कि चर्चा होने दे और इस महत्वपूर्ण मसले पर पूरे देश के सामने सच्चाई जाए, बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है।
देश के गृह मंत्री दोनों सदनों में चर्चा के लिए तैयार हैं कि विपक्ष मणिपुर से संबंधित घटनाओं पर चर्चा करने की बजाय क्यों भाग रही है।
Let's take a deep dive by first taking a look at the guests that are joining us for our conversation today. We have Neeti Jain from the BJP, we have Aishwarya Mahadev from the Congress, we also have Nitin Tyagi, the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson, and R. Rajagopalan, who's with us. He's a senior journalist. Good evening. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. I'm first going to actually go over to the Congress spokesperson, Aishwarya Mahadev, who's with us. Aishwarya, thank you for joining us. My first question is to you, because we've just played out a few BJP statements, one most recently from just a few hours ago by Union Minister Smriti Irani, where what we're seeing the BJP say is that it's the opposition that doesn't want a discussion. Aishwarya, I want to ask you a more focused question. I want to ask you, what is the Congress's plan here? What's the game plan over the next few days? Is the game plan to continue to stall?
Good evening, Toya. I think first and foremost, India has a great tradition of parliament and democracy as a whole, where every time something that shakes the nation, something that shocks or something that appalls or any sort of grave instance, you have seen statesmen like prime ministers come out and the first thing they do is assure the people of the nation and also assure the parliamentarians, because the parliamentarians are representatives of the entire populace of the country of India. And I believe what the opposition parties unitedly are asking for is for the Prime Minister in this case to do his Raj Dharma, because somebody that had the gumption to go stand outside a hotel when a terrorist attack was happening and have a press conference does not seem to have the same sort of courage to come address Parliament whatsoever, but will speak for 30 seconds outside. But let me come back to the very important issue, because a lot of people are saying the opposition is stalling debate and whatnot. Let me give you that clarification, right? The opposition parties, one, want the Prime Minister to speak, and second, all opposition parties have given notices under various sections of chamber where any sort of debate and discussion can happen. There have been in both houses, and now what the BJP is saying is we are ready to discuss. What are they ready to discuss? Under Rule 267, you are allowed to have a discussion for how long? 2.5 hours, and then discretion is left to whom? The speaker also, to see if you want to extend it. Do you believe an issue of such gravity can be discussed in any manner? All parties get a say or whatnot in 2.5 hours. Is the BJP trying to reduce the entire severity of the issue of Manipur to 2.5 hours? We are asking that an indefinite discussion, at least for a longer period of time, is required for two things. One, several parties all across have had situations of instability and may bring in suggestions for the BJP to constructively work on. And second, please, in a democracy, I think last time I checked, we are still allowed to ask pertinent questions because there is massive failure of coordination of governance. The administration has fallen apart. Crimes are rising unabated, and the chief minister there needs to be held accountable. Toya, at what point is anything that I'm saying not reasonable for the BJP to accede to? Okay. I believe every single step of the way, the opposition parties do not want to disrupt. They want to exercise their democratic right of discussion. And that is what the BJP is stalling. And to say 2.5 hours of a discussion is enough is a shame, is an insult to the people of Manipur.
Okay. Aishwarya, I want to quickly come in and ask you, I want to ask you a follow-up question because I do want to go over to our other panelists, but I want to ask you a follow-up question very quickly. Can you let us into what the Congress's game plan is? I'm asking because if the government decides and if the BJP decides we're not going to have the Prime Minister address the Parliament as the Congress and as other opposition parties want, what is the game plan for the rest of the session? I want to understand.
Toya, I don't think it's a game plan as much as the Congress is the voice of the people who have been asking the right questions and asking questions in terms of what the people who are suffering in a state want. It is not a ploy. There is no action plan for it. We are looking for any way to get one, answer, second, accountability, and three, transparency in what is happening in Manipur because of the complete complete shroud of secrecy and darkness, whether it comes to arms and ammunition being stolen, whether it comes to militants being taken away for military convoys, or whether it's the fact that far more women seem to have died and we have no clue what sort of sexual violence, what sort of crimes against humanity, and what sort of brutality is happening. And you see the chief minister sitting there in silence. Okay, Mr. Rajagopalan, I'd ask you to stay on, please. I want to go first to the BJP. Aishwarya, thank you for providing us with that response. Thank you for elucidating for us what it is that is the Congress's stand. Let's go over now, though, to Neeti Jain from the BJP. Ms. Jain, thank you for staying with us. I want to understand from you, Ms. Jain, we've heard what it is that the Congress had to say, and Aishwarya very, very poignantly right now put forth what is the Congress's point right now, where they're saying the state and the situation in Manipur, it's impossible to downplay it in any way. It's been almost 3 months. We know the numbers, more than 100 people have died, thousands of people have been displaced. They're saying this is an issue of importance. Ms. Jain, I want to understand from you, A, why haven't we, this is the key question that is there to be understood. The BJP knew possibly that there was going to be a ruckus in the parliament. What was the BJP expecting? How are they planning to proceed?
So, Toya, I completely agree with whatever the Congress spokesperson is saying. It is a sensitive matter. Nobody is taking it lightly, which is why the Prime Minister has made a statement. And the Home Minister today stood in the Parliament and said he is willing to have a discussion on the entire matter that needs to be discussed. And Aishwarya ji is today saying that after a 2.5-hour discussion, which she in her opinion says is not enough, and the speaker is going to decide. But why are they deciding even before the discussion that it's not going to be enough? Let that discussion happen. If there is a requirement to do that more, there would be more, the discussion would be extended by the speaker. Why do you have to take that call even before you enter the parliament? And this is not just this time. It has become a habit for Congress to reduce themselves down to theatrics. And you have just mentioned this entire thing that before every session, they come up with an issue, they create ruckus, they stall the parliament, they stall the entire country's work, and then they go back to whatever they are doing. Then that entire issue dies down right after the parliament session is over. So let that discussion at least happen. Why do you have to take a call that this isn't enough time? The clauses are not important. The discussion is. And if the government is saying we are willing to have the discussion that needs to be had, it is upon the opposition to go inside the parliament without sloganeering and have that discussion on the floor of the house.
Thank you. Stay with us, Aishwarya. If I could also request you to stay with us, because I do want to bring in the other panelists here. Then we'll come over to all of you. First, we'll go over to R. Rajagopalan, a senior journalist. He's with us. Sir, I believe you wanted to speak a little earlier too. Do go ahead.
Yeah, my understanding, opposition is doing anarchism in the country. Opposition in the name of I.N.D.I.A, India, is derailing Indian process. My understanding is government has tried all-party meeting, Congress attended, the India attended, speaker meeting, India attended. Modi went to opposition before the parliament session began and he met Sonia Gandhi. He wanted to have a smooth session of parliament. What all you need, Mr. Amit Shah today spoke. Yesterday, Mr. Rajnath Singh spoke. Madam Toya, rules are different in Lok Sabha. I covered Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha for 40 years. None of the panelists in our debate would know what is the rule of 197, 267, and also what is the rule of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. 2.5 hours is a long time for any opposition to make a point. Simply, they want only theatrics, drama, hooliganism, rowdyism, derail the parliament. I covered parliament for 40 years. Never seen a member of parliament taking a placard and going to the ruling party side. Never happened in the history. This is all done by the Congress and also some left party members and Aam Party, which claims that they are anarchists. Apart from that, can you bring a placard into the house, the panchayat of the India parliament? And can you derail the process of a debate? And 31 bills are there. You have opposition. Yes, there is a democracy. There should be a space for opposition. You can't insist Prime Minister should come. You can't insist go by this rule. We want longer debate. There are sensitive issues. Do you know in 1984 what happened after Sikh riots? The Sikh regiment revolted in army. Manipur is a strong presence in army. There are certain issues which I don't want to openly say, madam, because the public, the audience should know what are all the difficulties to run a government. The same opposition, I.N.D.I.A, the entire opposition were in government. They were looting the system, 2G, 3G, like that. They ignored the Manipur. Dr. Manmohan Singh, what did he say?
No.
1 second,
What we want to talk about the idea of notional laws and what Vinod Rai said.
No notional laws. There is no notional laws.
You called us an anarchist. I still kept
Aishwarya, last you stay with us. Aishwarya, I will come over to you to get a response in just a second.
Congress has no role in this. Congress derailed the parliament. Congress should have understood there is no plan for Congress, only for anarchism.
What is 2G?
Anarchism.
Anarchism.
There is only 2G, only loot. Congress looted 20 lakh crores in India. 20 lakh crores they looted. 20 lakh crores. They forgot Manipur. 70 years of India. What is happening in India?
Aishwarya, just give me a second. Mr. Gopalachari, 1 second. Aishwarya, 1 second. Aishwarya, we'll come back to you in a second because I want to come over to you right after this to get your response to what it is that Mr. Rajagopalachari has to say. Rajagopalan, I'm so sorry, sir. Sir, I do want to come to you first, though, and ask you a very specific question. Before we move away, because I want to keep the focus, I think it would defeat the purpose of tonight if we shift the focus from the situation right now in Manipur. Sir, I want to ask you this. You were saying that it is not for the opposition to demand that the Prime Minister come down, that the Prime Minister talk and address this issue. So you've also said that you've covered the Parliament for decades now. Bring us context here then, bring us historical context here. A, can opposition parties ask for the Prime Minister to come and address an issue? And B, if so, has it happened ever? Bring us that context, Mr. Rajagopalan.
Opposition has got every right to demand Prime Minister's presence. Let the debate start, madam. Whether Prime Minister comes or not, why do you put precondition? Why is there caveat? There are instances in 1990, in 1980, I have seen Madam Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, Morarji Desai, Charan Singh, they will be present. Let the institution start the debate. Why do you stall the debate? The reason is simply, after having covered this parliament, the thick of opposition is in the last few decades have come to this stage. because the government will turn the table against Congress. That is why Congress is afraid. Congress is throttling the government's neck.
Okay,
by
Mr.
saying,
Rajagopalan, I
put
will
it
have
at
to
the
stop
end-
you
the
there.
end of that.
Thank you for summarizing that for us. I do want to go over to our fourth guest because we haven't gone over to our fourth guest. Yes, Nitin Tyagi from the Aam Aadmi Party. Sir, thank you for waiting with us over the last few minutes. Sir, the Aam Aadmi Party is in focus today for a few reasons. The largest perhaps being, and we told our audiences this a few minutes earlier, that the Aam Aadmi Party Rajya Sabha MP Sanjay Singh, as we saw, was suspended for his actions in the parliament today. Sir, I just want to understand from you over here, could you tell our audiences, A, how is the Aam Aadmi Party responding to that development? And B, it's a very important session for the Aam Aadmi Party because of an ordinance related to Delhi. When it comes to that issue, what is the Aam Aadmi Party's plan? Particularly because there is this Manipur issue in which the Aam Aadmi Party does stand united with other opposition parties.
Yes, we do stand united. You know, I was hearing Mr. Rajagopalachari, and I think Mr. Gopalachari, I hope you are able to sleep properly every night with this kind of the way your soul is taking you. I don't know where it is taking you, but let me tell you something very clearly.
Where is yours taking you, sir?
When Mr. Prime Minister was in America, he was talking about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and here in India, he's practically disowning Manipur. He has practically disowned Manipur totally and completely. When in America you call कि डंका बज रहा है, and when in India, actually India की band बज रही है, you can't see that. You can't see that with your naked eyes. What's happening? You want to put a cap on it. Is it a favor or is it the responsibility of the parliament that they should discuss about everything that ails this country? In the democracy, is it not going to happen ever again that the opposition asks a question to the power, to the person responsible? Did the PM go to Manipur and ask for votes over there or not? Did he go during the election campaign or not? At that time he was asking for votes, and today he is not standing with the people of Manipur. Are you not ashamed when you are trying to defend the PM right now?
बस ठीक है
How can you even sleep? How can you even think of sleeping?
ठंडा हो जाओ.
Gopalan, do
Cool
stay
down,
with us.
cool down,
One
cool
sec.
down.
Mr. Rajagopalan, I'd like to appeal to you to wait. We have
But
some
he
breaking
cannot
news
speak
we need
like
to
this.
move
He
through
cannot
right
speak
now.
like this.
Let's
No,
move
no,
to breaking
this
news
is a
very
debate.
quickly.
We
We'll
must-
come back
we
to
must
the Aam
debate
Aadmi Party
points.
spokesperson.
The
But first,
we
let's
must
go to
debate
breaking
points,
news.
not heckle
They
anyone.
have,
All right, we're learning that amid the storm over Sanjay Singh's suspension, remember that took place earlier in the day today, the Vice President has spoken. He said that at times harsh decisions must be made to enforce discipline and decorum within the House. Let's go over now, taking that slice of breaking news back to the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson Nitin Tyagi, who remains with us to understand more about the Aam Aadmi Party's response. Mr. Tyagi, we're showing our audiences on their screen right now photos of the Vice President with Mallikarjun Kharge, the President of the Congress. As we show those images, I just want to understand from you, Mr. Tyagi, this statement coming in from the Vice President, what is the Aam Aadmi Party's response? That harsh decisions need to be taken at points. Mr. Tyagi, that question was for you. Were you able to hear me?
I actually do not understand why Mr. Sanjay Singh was actually suspended, and what you are telling right now, I could not get actually what you are telling right now. I have not seen the headlines.
Okay, I'll repeat it for you,
Can you
sir.
please repeat the
Yes,
headline?
of course. Just a few moments ago, we've learnt, and this is as we're showing our audiences visuals, where the Vice President is meeting with the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge. We're also sharing with our audiences that the Vice President, Jagdeep Dhankar, has spoken to the press about the act of suspension of Sanjay Singh. He said that at times harsh decisions must be made to enforce discipline and decorum within the House.
Absolutely. This is what I want to say. What happened today was actually very sad. People asked over there for division of votes. He did not do that even because he was confident that his decision is going to go for a toss. Absolutely. And I have no problem in saying that on this extremely serious channel, that the speaker in the Rajya Sabha today should have gone for division of votes, and he would have known that even BJP MPs did not want suspension of Sanjay Singh. People in BJP want discussion on Manipur. The governor in Manipur wants discussion, wants action. Nothing is happening. We are asking a question. They are our countrymen.
Sir,
our
you are
men.
only asking
Our
Mr.
countrymen
Tyagi,
are being killed
Mr.
over
Tyagi,
there.
thank
Our
you.
women are being
Stay with
raped
us.
over there.
I now want to go over to the
People have
BJP
lost homes over
spokesperson,
there.
Neeti Jain, who's with us.
We do not even have the right to ask the question in the parliament.
Mr. Tyagi, just stay with us because I now want to take this question.
We would be suspended for that.
We're on the last few moments and it's particularly important that I get this question in with the BJP spokesperson Neeti Jain, who's with us. Ms. Jain, I want to understand from you. Today we've heard what the Congress had to say. We've heard what the Aam Aadmi Party had to say. We know that there are a number of other opposition parties by their side. Ms. Jain, I want to understand this from you. As I asked you in the beginning, the BJP knew this would happen to some degree. It's important that we chart a path forward that gets business done, but also addresses the Manipur situation with the gravity that it deserves. What is the BJP's plan there, ma'am? Particularly when the opposition is arguing that the Home Minister making a statement is not enough. What is the BJP's plan?
Toya, you cannot wake up somebody who is pretending to be asleep. Like Mr. Rajgopalanji just said, the government has made all the efforts to get the opposition on board, let the discussion happen and then move on with the other business of the parliament as well. But these people are only asking questions. They don't want solutions. They don't want that discussion to happen.
All the attempts that you have made.
Manipur, Tyagi ji, सुन लीजिए ना, आपका तो rhetoric और
just 20 seconds, just 20 seconds by the PM on Manipur is all that you have to offer, madam.
You cannot be directly asking the Vice President of the country and behaving in that manner. Your level of paranoia and hyperventilation is completely on a different level. So please, just listen for once.
I do not understand. Why are you running away? Is Manipur not? We do have the right to be angry. What's happening in this country? We have the right to be angry.
Sir, do you know what has happened in the Northeast in the past 9 years? Have you studied that? Do you know that this problem of insurgency is not new?
I know what has happened in the Northeast since last 25 years, madam.
This has been going on for decades.
I know what has happened over there in last 25 years. I've read it, I've heard it. I have read it, heard it and talked to people.
That has connected them to the mainstream.
Tell me what is happening today.
Let them go.
Tell me what is happening today. Don't run away. Tell me what is happening today.
Sir, वही तो आपको
are you
even
ready to talk what is happening today? You are ready to talk about what is happening today?
Mr. Tyagi,
are ready to talk. Are you ready to listen? We are ready to talk. You are not ready to listen.
And
that is the problem.
Mr. Tyagi, Ms. Jain, Aishwarya and R. Rajagopalan, thank you for coming with us. Just stay with us because I think it's so important that right now we bring in a voice from the ground. My colleague Kamalika has been reporting on the crisis in Manipur over the last almost 3 months. She is our editor for the East. She spoke to the husband of one of the victims of the most recent incident that took place in Manipur. We're going to bring you what it is that the husband had to say. Take a look.
ये पूछना है कि आप देश का सुरक्षा किया है आपने, क्या लगता है कि सरकार आपके परिवार को सुरक्षा करने में नाकामयाब रहे?
हाँ, मैं देश के सुरक्षा फौज में थी, लेकिन मैं रिटायर आने के बाद अपना गांव, अपना परिवार रक्षा नहीं कर पाया। इतना दुखी और इतना दुखी हूँ मैं कह सकता हूँ। इसी भारतवर्ष में रहने वाला कोई जाति, कोई माइनॉरिटी भी होता है, कोई मेजॉरिटी भी होता है। जो बेकसूर वाला को, माइनॉरिटी जाति को मेजॉरिटी जाति ने दबा के रखा है, जीना हराम कर दिया। इसी भारत के अंदर नहीं होना चाहिए, ये कहना चाहता हूँ।
आपको लगता है कि अभी जस्टिस जो होता है ना, अभी जिस तरीके से, क्या आप जो सरकार है उसको आप क्या बोलना चाहेंगे?
ये चाहता हूँ जो गलती जो कार्रवाई कर रहे, जो महिलाओं के ऊपर जो शेरशानी किया है, बेकसूर वालों को खून किया है, इनको सख्त से सख्त सजाएं मिलना चाहिए। और जो माइनॉरिटी वाला को जीने के लिए जो दबा के रखा है, और जो मणिपुर में मैतेई पार्टी मेजॉरिटी है, हम लोग कुकी, जौ में जो माइनॉरिटी है, इनको जीने के लिए एक साथ जी नहीं सकता है, एक साथ नहीं रह सकता है, इसलिए और अलग अलग जीने के लिए भारत सरकार कुछ न कुछ कार्रवाई कीजिए। पुलिस का जो गाड़ी में ये लोग चढ़ा था, बैठ चुका था, लेकिन उसमें फिर जो आदमी लोग ने पुलिस गाड़ी से फिर खींच करके उतरा और उसके बाद पुलिस वाला इनको कुछ नहीं किया, कोई मदद नहीं किया। ये बहुत दुख की बात है। कैसे सोचता है, क्योंकि मैं एक फौज का देश का रक्षा करने वाला, हम लोग युद्ध में जाता है, कहीं लड़ाई में जाता है, जो ऊपर वाला अधिकारी लोग ने यही बताता है कि कहीं में भी जंग जाता है और किसी महिला से छेड़खानी नहीं करना चाहिए, और यही बताता है किसी का संपत्ति में लालच नहीं होना चाहिए, किसी भी धर्म को इज्जत करना चाहिए, क्योंकि हमारा भारत हिंदुस्तान में कई प्रकार के धर्म होता है, हिंदू, क्रिश्चियन और सिख, मुस्लिम, बुद्धिज्म होता है। किसी न किसी को का धर्म बेइज्जती नहीं करना चाहिए और ये सबको धर्म स्थान को इज्जत करना चाहिए, यही सिखलाएं। ये बताती है कि हमारा जो पति है, मेरा बेटा है, वो जान चले गया और इन जो जान ले लिया, मेरा लड़की को भी इज्जत लूट दिया है। ये मणिपुर सरकार का ऊपर में तो हम विश्वास उठ चुका है, जो आगे के लिए हम लोग को जीने के लिए अपना जो मांग है, अपना जीने के लिए, अपना जाति के लिए, अपना जीने के लिए भारत सरकार हमारा मांग को पूरा करे।